everyone. Welcome back to Felix's Helixes. I am Karen.
And I'm Steve.
And we are part of the Southgate Media Group. You can find us at southgatemediagroup.com and on Facebook by searching for Southgate Media Group, oddly enough. This is episode 3 of Felix's Helixes.
Yes, and tonight we're going to be discussing the Stigmata of Progress.
Such a great title, right?
Yes, it really was, but fortunately we saw no hands bleeding.
Thank goodness, although lots of gore.
Yeah,
I
there
have
was
to
plenty
say,
of that.
Yeah, I would have rather taken hands bleeding.
Yeah. Compared to some of the stuff we saw, yes.
Yes.
And it was written by Aubrey Nealon, who has done episodes of Saving Hope, Rookie Blue, and Flashpoint, and directed by the one and only Ken Garate, who has done some Stargate SG-1, Supernatural, and Daredevil.
Daredevil. One of my favorites.
Yes.
I'm watching it right now because I have to watch one a week for the Fandom Zone. And I think I'm on episode 8 right now.
Nice.
And it's making me crazy that I only watch one a week. But yeah, he's a great director. That show is directed flawlessly. So I love that we get him here too.
Yes.
So, ratings?
All right.
You were a little higher than me, and I copied you. I have to say, I gave it I gave it a rounder number, and then I saw you gave it a little fractional. So I ticked mine up so that we could be the same kind of fractional. So go ahead and give yours.
All right. I gave it 9.25 pigment treatments.
Right. And I gave it an 8.5 up front, but then I switched it to an 8.75. See, so we could be balanced. 8.75 Descent game boards. That was the game they were playing, Descent. So.
Oh, yes. And that is one of the producers just...
Oh, he is all over those D&D scenes.
Oh, God, yes. He actually went down to the set an hour and a half before they started shooting that scene and set up the board.
Right. And he kept setting it back up every time they had to knock it over. Every time the actress who plays Kira knocked it over. And he is geeking out over all this D&D stuff they keep getting.
Mm-hmm.
They get sweaters. The actor who plays, and I can't remember his name, the actor who plays the D&D guy who was playing with Kira. He has a name.
Hellraiser.
Thank you. He had a D&D sweater on, and they keep getting all these like board games and D&D books and all kinds of stuff, and he's like geeking out over putting this stuff on the set, and he says, look forward to a lot more D&D stuff. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
My husband's going to love it because he used to be a GM, a game master, so
right.
He's going to love it. That's fantastic. So, yeah, it was a great episode. There were a few reasons why I didn't give it a little higher, and we'll get into that.
Okay.
Mostly because that. But then I learned about pink lemonade Pop-Tarts today. And for some reason, I'm not as grossed out about this episode.
Oh, God, can't wait to hear that.
Because, no, pink lemonade Pop-Tarts are yuck. I just can't imagine. And so, this episode is not quite as bad. But anyway, let me give our story titles. This one, I'll try and do it in the context of the song, but it's kind of a spoken song. So, who wants their cheek done by the Marquis de Sade? So there's that. That's from Little Shop of Horrors. Digging up the past ×2, one literal and one figurative. Blood is thicker than water. And then we have a bunch of side stories. I can't just do the bonus. There's a million side stories in the show.
Yes.
So we have Be Kind, Rewind, A Song of Ants and Fire, Hello, Adele, A Picture's Worth at Least 6 Words, Duco Away, I like that one, and Frenemies. So there's that. And one of the things I love is with the arrival of James Frain in this episode, that means that James Frain is back in 2 of the shows I podcast about. I just tweeted this out today.
Nice.
And I am digging it because I love James Frain. And yay. I mean, he's Azrael on Gotham now.
Right.
As of this week, he's like back as Azrael. And of course, he's Ferdinand on this show. So, so great. Okay, so who wants their cheek done by the Marquis de Sade is obviously the cheek thing. Yeah. This is gross. And
having anything alive inside you is not a pretty thing.
No. A worm, especially, which I know people have worms. Mm-hmm. I get that. But this is gross. Right. And we have the question answered now, which we were wondering last week, who has them? And apparently only Sarah out of these people, right? Out of our group.
Mm-hmm.
Only Sarah.
And guess who put it there? I'm absolutely positive of that.
Ferdinand, right?
No.
Who?
I believe Rachel was the one who put it in.
Oh, you think
Sarah.
Rachel did it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So someone there at least, and probably Rachel, we think. Okay. Yeah, because she contacted, as we know, in the pictures with at least 6 words. Yeah. She wrote on the picture, "Did you get my message out?" to Charlotte, who has access to a computer. Mm-hmm. She apparently contacted Ferdinand with a message, and Ferdinand delivered it.
Yeah.
I'm
not sure the message was meant to get all the way to Sarah, but
yeah, but apparently, yeah. So there's some sort of relationship still ongoing there between Rachel and Ferdinand, and he is intertwined with this story in many ways. Apparently, with Siobhan, with Rachel, and with Sarah, at the very least.
Yes.
So yeah. So you think that Rachel did it directly or indirectly, or just while she was at Dyad?
Oh, I think it was directly.
Okay.
I think that was something she directed Neelan to do.
Okay.
Was implant that in her
cheek. Mm-hmm. Gross. Yeah. And she didn't notice it until now?
Yep.
Gross. You know, I'm feeling the inside of my cheeks right now. Yeah, I know. It's disgusting.
Where's that flashlight?
Right? Although it looks like you'd be able to feel it. Ugh.
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah. I've actually had the inside of my mouth operated on. So I have a big scar there. I know, that's TMI, right? Yeah. Anyway, it wasn't a worm. Thank goodness. But, yeah, so Sarah, they all seem to be looking into the worm thing in different paths. I was very frustrated about this. And this was part of my lower grade, was that I felt like they weren't working together.
Yeah. You had Cosima and Scott doing the ultrasound and noticing that it is not completely
biological.
There is some mechanical to it.
Right.
But they really have no idea what it's there for.
Right. And then Sarah runs off to do her own investigation.
Even after Siobhan tells her that she's already started making calls to try to find a doctor to help her.
Right. So Siobhan's working on her own thing. Sarah's working on her own thing. And then Cosima,
you know, Scott and Cosima are working their end.
Right. And then Allison and Donnie hear about it. Right. And they say, ooh, Neolutionist had it. Well, we just happen to know where there's a Neolutionist. Where could that be? And of course, that's part of our Digging Up the Past storyline, is they happen to have a Neolutionist, the King Neolutionist himself, in their garage. And if you noticed, not only was there a patch where Leaky was, but there was also a patch where Rudy was in their garage, which I think is great that we get that little detail of them having 2 little patches in their garage. So I'm glad they knew which one was leaky.
Yeah.
And they only had to dig once. And you had a quote. First of all, I love this quote, but this is one of your favorite quotes, right?
Yes. My sister has a robot maggot in her face. You tell me what the solid plan is. No, go rent a jackhammer.
Right. She doesn't even wait. You tell me what the solid plan is? No, go rent a jackhammer.
Yeah.
And then I love Donnie comes back with, maybe we should just buy one, and grumbles and walks away. It's so great because, they've had to do it twice already with Rudy and with Leaky. So I think it would be amazing if they had to dig up Rudy.
Oh, yeah.
Again this season. He has to make another joke about getting another jackhammer. So it's such a great scene, and they decide to do that. And one of my favorite quotes is when they're doing it and they open up the bag that he's in and they get that scent, which again,
yeah,
just thinking about it. And he's got the mask on and he says, "It smells like garbage." She says, "What?" "It smells like garbage juice." He says it smells like hot garbage juice. It makes me laugh. And I actually commented on a thread in the Orphan Black recap on Entertainment Weekly. Someone said, "Is it me or is Donnie becoming anyone's favorite character?" And I said, you know what? As someone who really hated him in the first season, I have to admit, he's grown on me to the point where I just love seeing him on the screen. I do. Not only is he funny, but he's great with Helena, and he loves Allison. And it's such a turn. You guys know how much I hated him, right? It was like Angie level hate.
Yes.
But I love him now. I really do. He's so good. So yeah, so they found this, I guess they're calling it like a maggot tumor in Leaky's face.
Yes.
And the Orphan Black, the showrunners said that when they got Matt Frewer back for the first episode, they had him sit in a chair and do the cast for the head. Mm-hmm. So they wanted that head of Leaky in the ground to look just like his head, and it did.
Oh, yeah.
It was amazingly intact. And people are saying, well, how come it's so intact? Okay, but we know it's been a year for us, but it hasn't for them.
No.
It's not.
It's only been a couple of months for them.
Right.
Since they killed Leaky.
Right. Helena's only 4 months pregnant or whatever. So, right. I mean, it hasn't been very long at all. So, yeah, I don't think he's too decomposed for...
No.
Yeah. So now... And again, this forking of the maggot investigation is they have this tumor and they go to Cosima, and now Cosima has this reference. And this is one of the things that's frustrating me. I don't know about you, but if Sarah knew about this, if she had stayed in touch, then she wouldn't have had to go to this doctor.
Right.
And that was a huge danger. I mean, she knew about the fact that these tendrils or whatever could come out and kill her.
Right.
So why didn't she just stay? Right? But then, I guess it wouldn't be much of a story for the show, right?
Right. I mean, we saw classic Sarah in this episode.
Right. Half-cocked Sarah. Right?
Yes. Not giving a damn. I'm going to get an answer come hell or high water, even if I have to do it by myself.
Right. Headlong.
Yes.
Into the breach. Yeah.
Just like Beth did.
Right. Yeah, she does have that in common with Beth. Very much so.
Yes. And we now know why Art said, you two were very much alike.
Mm-hmm. It's true. It's true. And one of the things I do want to touch on as well in the Be Kind Rewind, and it wasn't a big deal, but when Art says that, I'm reminded of them both watching that videotape and seeing, I guess, what would be kind of someone they truly deeply love on that videotape. And they're both watching, he's seeing Beth, who he was deeply in love with, and she's seeing Paul, who she also was in love with. And to me, it's heartbreaking to watch.
Right.
Them.
Yeah, especially because Sarah got to see the scene where Beth pulls the gun on him.
I know. And Art as well. I mean, Art seeing that she was that hurt by Paul.
Yes.
And it's just heartbreaking for me to see them like that. And I don't think that that's being hammered into the viewer, but I think it's there. It's sitting there.
And I think it's going to lead to something bigger towards the end, too.
Probably. A lot of hurt feelings, I think, are going to come out at some point. I love that they're using Paul like this, though, because it means we get to see Dylan Bruce, which is awesome. And I'm not just saying that because of the cougar thing. I like Dylan Bruce. And I like how they redeemed Paul in the show.
Yes.
And to see him again after he's been redeemed is really cool, because we didn't get to see him very much after that.
Right.
After that full redemption, after he became a hero. So to see him now, after we know he's a good guy deep down, it's nice to see him on that screen. I mean, I would have been okay if they hadn't, to be honest, because they did tie up his story nicely. But the fact that we get these flashbacks of him, it's very good. I like it. And I like that we get to see Beth as well. It's nice to show these little flashbacks through this video, I think.
I agree.
So, we're getting these forks into the maggot, the cheek maggot, which gross. Okay, so we're left with Cosima now has access to one through Allison and Donnie. And I guess Allison and Donnie are asking at least someone, Scott or Cosima, to come and get it.
Yes.
Okay, gross.
Yeah.
And I'm doing
another scene like we had with Cosima and was it Rudy's body?
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. And I'm doing the same thing that poor Donnie is doing, where he's like, use a towel. Yeah. That's what I feel like as well there. So Donnie, I'm right with you. And so that's where we are there. With Sarah now, she's in the chair and Ferdinand is with her. And that's a little menacing. So we're not sure where that goes, right?
No, not yet.
That's scary. He knows a lot about them, though. So now here's my question for you. He hates neolutionists.
Yes, he does.
But he knows a lot about these cheekworms.
Yes.
So
because he's been keeping an eye out on them.
Yeah, so what is the dealio? And the fact that the nurse knew that he was the head honcho, so what does that mean? Where does he fit in there? Is he
Well, I don't think he's the head honcho. I don't believe he's the supervisor she was referring to.
Okay. So
I think he got there before they did.
Okay, so she just was assuming
that it was them when she heard the door.
And he just walked in.
Right.
Quick. Okay. All right. That's good news. If that's the case, which I'm hoping it is. Because it did look like he walked in quickly and slit her throat.
Yes.
So he's upset because she's Neolution, definitely, right?
Yes.
Okay. And he knows about these cheekworms, obviously.
Yes.
And he knew that she hadn't penetrated it because if she had, Sarah would have already been dead.
Right.
Okay. So he definitely knows a lot about them. Now let's hope, and I'm crossing my fingers here, let's hope that he is on our side still.
Yes.
Because that could be an asset.
A big one.
Right. And he's a doctor, right? At least you called it for a doctor and...
I don't know if he actually is a doctor. I don't think he is.
Okay. Well, he knows something about it.
Yes.
at least. So we'll see. Maybe he knows how to take them out. Maybe they're going to all hook up together at some point.
Yeah, I think he'll probably have more information on what it does and leave the science part to how to get it out to Cosima and Scott.
Okay.
But I think he will have important information as to what its actual function is.
Okay, good. And we don't know what it does as of yet, except for we do have a hint that we were given by, what's the dude's name with the beard?
Dizzy.
Thank you, Dizzy. I don't know why I don't remember his name. Saying that it has something to do with the brain, most likely, because it was up near the brain.
Right.
And yeah, that makes sense. It could definitely attach to a nerve that goes straight to the brain. So we think it might connect to something up in the brain.
Because it's attached to an artery, and we don't know exactly where that artery goes, but I lay even money that it probably goes straight to the brain.
Right. And it could most likely attach to a nerve up there or something. Right, to some electric connection up there. Ugh. Gross. Okay, and that also, the Ferdinand part, also linked to Siobhan's investigation of the worm. So everything hopefully will come together. I'm just hoping that the one side, Sarah, Siobhan, Ferdinand, comes together with the Cosima, Scott, Allison side. Let's hope, right?
Yes.
Because otherwise it could be bad, right?
Extremely bad.
Yeah. Because we don't want Sarah taken away and things done to her. The alternative would be that Ferdinand got the message from Rachel and Sarah gets taken to Rachel.
Right.
And that could be bad because that is an illusion. So the fact that he's in contact with Rachel, that's a problem.
It very well could be.
Right. So now, is he in contact with Rachel because he wants that inside info, or is he actually... I mean, I really do think that he hates Neolution.
Right. And it really depends on what exactly the message that Charlotte sent. Was it just that Susan Duncan was alive, or was it Susan Duncan is alive and is Neolution?
Right. Exactly.
And that only the only way to know that is to know how deep the relation between Rachel and Ferdinand was, and did Ferdinand really know that Rachel was that deep into Neolution or not?
Right. Exactly. So a lot of things to ponder, really, about next week in that whole wormy thing, right? Ugh.
Yes.
And of course, now we've done one half of digging up the past. So the other half is the nice detectives who we've never seen before who come to the door. And Helena.
At least it wasn't Angie.
Thank goodness, right?
Because she would have known right immediately as soon as Helena opened her mouth that it wasn't
Allison. Thank goodness, right?
Yes.
And I'm assuming that's why we did not get Angie.
Yes, I would assume so as well.
So Allison and Donnie get to talk to these two lovely police people. And they want to know a lot of details about these Portuguese murders, I guess.
Yes.
And it's because they had a sign from her campaign.
Right. So they assumed that they knew each other.
Right.
Now, they did mention that it was unusual that they were supporting Allison because that's not really who they were.
That's not their thing. Right. They were drug lords, and they knew it.
Yes.
And they knew that they were bad and just not into that sort of thing. So why was that sign there?
Yeah.
And so they wanted to know if there was some kind of connection.
And it was so great seeing, they're doing this while Allison and Donnie are in the garage digging up Leaky.
Right.
And you go, oh, this could go bad in so many different ways.
Right. But I love that it just didn't.
Right. And Donnie comes in and immediately dials into what's going on.
Yeah. It's great that he's just holding everything together. And we have this theme running through the season of Helena and Allison keeping each other's back.
Right.
And I love that. Even though Allison is really not happy with Helena being there, it doesn't matter because Helena is all in. She is there to do whatever needs to be done because she is scrounging off the hospitality of her sister. So she's going to help wherever she can.
Yes.
And I love that about Helena.
I fix trouble.
Right. I will fix trouble. No problem.
No
problem.
You gestate. You
just gestate and relax. Yeah, we don't need your kind of fixing. I love that. And then later, they do need her kind of fixing.
Oh, yeah.
Which is wonderful. And it's not really her kind, and I'm doing air quotes, her kind of fixing. But she jumps right in. And I love that Donnie is trying to answer the questions, and the police are like, can you please let your wife answer the questions? Well, I don't think that's really like by the law necessary. Yeah. And so, of course, they have to kind of let Helena try and answer the question. And the names just roll off. Now, mind you, they're not the right names. I mean, Carol Lombard is an actress. From the 20s and 30s. And the other names, I mean, who knows? They're probably just names from her past because they're kind of Slavic sounding. But I love that she comes up with these names. And they're definitely names that if they look into them, they're not going to find out anything. Yeah. But, it's not going to be anything. I'm quite sure it's not going to turn into anything bad. I mean, she just came up with the names and it's wonderful. They're going to go to Sarah, who, of course, is our lovely faux Sarah from last season. The Sarah from the play. And so we'll get her back. And we'll get to talk to her a little bit about being her campaign manager.
Right.
And I'm assuming that's going to maybe be the end to the surface investigation. There might be a little more to it if those detectives find something else out.
Right. And I can just about guarantee we'll have a scene with Sarah Stubbs over at Allison's house looking at Allison and Helena.
Yeah. You think she's going to be the next one to find out that there's devils? Yeah. I think probably as well.
This is my sister.
Right. Right. Then my long lost sister or cousin or something. She does look different enough that she could say cousin. Right. Because she's got the lighter hair and her face is just different enough, with the heavy set eyes and everything. She could probably say cousin. And
if Helena's got food in her mouth.
Right. Right. She's staying with us while she's pregnant. It could Sarah might let it go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The other Sarah, not our Sarah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sarah Stubbs will go with the flow. And
Sarah Stubbs is not exactly the sharpest tool in the shoe. So she'll probably get it. And I do like that. And I use Digging Up the Past as the story title, but I think that is a very apt title for those mirroring storylines.
Yes.
Because they're definitely going for a mirrored storyline there with the past coming back to haunt them doubly in that house. They killed Leaky and there he is. And then they killed the Portuguese family. And that's also coming back to haunt them. So, and of course, Allison is dealing with the one that she dealt with. And Helena's dealing with the killings that she dealt with. So I think that's an interesting little mirror that's happening there.
Yes.
I mean, Helena's having to actually answer for that crime, right?
Yes.
It's pretty funny, I thought. I mean, in a macabre way, of course.
Yeah, just a little.
But So, and again, one of my favorite quotes there is when Donnie is talking to her. Is it clear? Crystals, she says to Donnie. As in, it's crystal clear, but she says crystals. And again, I think that's funny because crystals, and then, of course, one of their sisters is named Crystal.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping we get to see her this season as well. All right. I also like that when they call Cosima, this is my other quote, Donnie turns the camera away a little bit, but Cosima can hear the whole conversation, which is dumb. Again, Donnie's not the sharpest tool in the shed either, but he's great anyway. He says, I don't know, should we tell her the whole thing? And she says, she's a scientist and a lesbian. She's not going to let it slide. Yes, Allison, a lesbian definitely is not going to let it slide. No, just fantastic.
Yeah, they really didn't have a choice. I mean, by the way, we just procured Leaky's body.
Right.
What? That's as bad as Donnie saying, yeah, well, I killed Leaky. What?
Yeah, it's dumb. It's dumb not to tell her. They tell them everything. They've done worse, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like Cosima had a lot of love for Leaky.
No.
So, yeah, tell her. Come on. What's she going to do? Turn you in?
Yeah, no.
No. And you have to get them over to get the thing out.
Right.
She's going to find out. Just tell her. And I like how he tells her, well, it was raining and yeah, okay. Yeah, it's because it was raining, Donnie.
It was a dark and stormy night.
Oh, slowly I turn.
And slammed the gun into the wheel and it discharged into Leaky's head.
Yeah. It was fortuitous, actually. Yeah. So, I mean, if she knew the whole story that he was destined to die that night anyway,
right,
it wouldn't have mattered. So, yeah, no biggie. I wish they had known the whole story.
Oh, yeah.
To be honest, that he was doing them kind of a service.
And even more of a service now, seeing that he had one in his jaw.
Exactly. Right? Although, do you think they'd like it that they were doing Rachel's bidding that night? Because Rachel wanted him dead, right?
Right. Yeah. No, they wouldn't have
liked
appreciated that.
No, not at all. And see how I did this? I mentioned Rachel, and now we're going right into the Rachel storyline.
Yes.
Blood is thicker than water. See how I did that?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I did that. So blood is thicker than water is a whole separate storyline unto itself. And we got to see Ira. Were you surprised to see Ira?
Oh, absolutely surprised to see Ira.
Yeah, Castor clone.
That is nothing like his brothers.
No, he's a bit OCD. I mean, I'm guessing he is. He's very uptight, very clean.
Very pale.
Yeah, very white, I was going to say, because he wears all white. I'm guessing he just stays indoors all the time.
Right.
Because he's kind of stuck in that house, although he did go out, apparently.
Yes.
To get Professor Duncan S. So, yeah, we have another Castor clone. And so I guess that means we have two. We have Mark.
Yes.
And we have Ira still on the loose.
Yes. And if anybody didn't notice, Ira is, spell it backwards,
Ari.
Ari.
That's right.
Gotta love them writers.
I know. Who actually plays them? Ari Gross, right? Ari. No, not Ari Gross. Ari. What's his name?
Millen.
Ari Millen. Thank you. Yeah. Ari Gross is someone else.
Yeah.
I can't remember who he plays, but anyway.
Yes. Rachel was at her finest in this episode.
Oh.
The bee was completely back.
Wow. Right? First of all, she's doing great with the progress. Her speech is getting better, although I think Tatiana is doing really good holding on to the affectations while letting it progress.
Right.
And she's also progressing on the walking.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing acting as well.
Yes, it is.
Just so good. So I guess this whole time that she's been, 3 or 4 months now, she's been cooped up in this
Terrarium, as she called it.
yeah. I'm guessing it's kind of a facility of sorts that Mrs. Duncan has set up. A mini
I would
facility.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, because it's where Charlotte is, so it's some sort of mini facility where she can do things. Even if
Yes, she definitely has a lab in there.
Right.
We haven't seen it yet, but yeah, I feel that definitely there's a lab there.
Right. Oh, and now I'm calling him Ari. Ira also did some stuff with Rachel, so there's at least that sort of stuff can happen. They're helping Rachel. And I was a little disappointed that when he did the little treatment to her iris and injected it, that it didn't go straight into the credits, the opening credits.
The opening.
Because it looks like the opening credits, right?
I know, yes.
And I thought, well, that's a wasted scene. It could have just gone, it could have just gone right into the credits. Because there are parts of the credits that look exactly like that billowing cloud thing. Mm-hmm. But it was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it. And I love that Charlotte...
Another gross, though.
Still gross, yes.
Yeah, that needle going into the... Oh.
Yeah, but technically it's not her eye, so it's not like she could feel it. Yes. I had to think of it that way.
Well, he put the drops in her eye, so you knew that numbed whatever...
If she feels it.
Right, if she feels it.
Right. It's mechanical, so I'm guessing she doesn't feel it. Oh, I hope not.
You look at knee and hip replacements.
Yeah, now see. Now I'm not liking it. Oh, yeah, ouch. See, I don't like touching my eye at all. So
No.
Yeah, that's why I wear glasses.
No contact.
Yeah, although at some point I'm probably going to have to have something done with my eye, but
right.
And
what is this bizarre segue that's happening?
It's a mini segue. So yeah, she's having stuff done there, and Charlotte is around her all the time, which it looks like to me that she is irritated by that.
I think at first, yes, because of course Charlotte pops off with the Pluto comment,
right? And
Rachel comes right back at her. Well, that's not very nice. How would you feel if I made fun of your leg?
Right. Yeah.
And Charlotte comes back. That wouldn't bother me a bit.
Yeah, it's almost like they're sisters sniping at each other, right?
Just a little bit.
That kind of dynamic. And Charlotte doesn't seem to be upset. She seems very nonplussed by it.
Right.
Very almost mechanical, like very unfeeling.
Right. Almost like this was planned.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. Like she knows what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
She is very much more in the know than Rachel. And I think Rachel is frustrated by everything.
Oh, yeah. She does not like being locked up.
No.
I mean, come on.
And with no control. She's a control freak.
Yes.
So to have no control over this is just
eating her.
Yeah, not good.
From the inside out.
Right. So yeah, she's resentful of Charlotte because Charlotte gets more than she does. Access to the outside world. Right. She gets
computer.
She gets to go more places and all this. She's also upset with Ira because Ira has been away for 3 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever.
Right.
2 treatments, and it sounds to me like they're 2 weeks apart. So 6 weeks, because she says something about it being 6 weeks. So she's been left down there alone for that long with, I guess, visits from Charlotte.
Right.
And ouch. She's not one of those kind of people that thrives on being alone.
No. Not at all.
No. So yeah, I can see where she'd be upset. Although I don't think she loves the company she has.
No, she doesn't. She wants to be back at dyad running things.
Right.
That's what she feels like she should be doing.
Right.
Taking over the world.
Well, there's definitely that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she feels like the world is much worse without her in it.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And it's the world is suffering while she's down in this place. So, yeah, there's that, I think. And so she talks to her mother.
Yeah, the dinner was absolutely fantastic.
Right?
Ira gets a dig in.
Oh, man.
Susan drops a bomb that Charlotte was made from her.
Right? And now the little offhanded comment that Charlotte made about Adam's rib comes out.
Uh-huh.
Where did she hear it? And I'm guessing that means that Susan has been talking to her about Rachel.
Could be.
Because where else would she have heard it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Rachel, of course, everything just explodes for her. And it's in that quiet hatred that she has.
Right. Yeah.
And it has to be that frustration of, she's wanted children all of her adult life.
Yes.
That was the whole thing of her being at dyad and wanting to find out why she couldn't have children and all that. And now she knows she has this biological child. Literally.
Yeah.
And now it kills her to know that this has happened and she can't stand her, essentially. Right?
Right. Yes. I mean, I think she does have some feelings for Charlotte, but because of her makeup, she can't totally accept her because she's not perfect.
Right. Well, of course.
She's not Kira.
Right. Oh, yes, that has to be galling, right?
Uh-huh.
Has to be galling. And I did notice they made a point to mention the fact that Charlotte has a bum leg in this.
Yes.
So they're both handicapped.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means that her daughter isn't better than she is.
Right.
And you always want your offspring to be better than you.
Mm-hmm.
And that has to be galling. And she's so jealous of Sarah. At every turn, she's just viciously jealous of Sarah. So what's going to happen when she comes out and she finds out that now Helena is pregnant with twins?
Oh, she's just going to explode.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
How many hitmen will she hire?
She'll spend whatever it takes.
Right?
Whatever it takes.
Right. Or kidnappers.
Yes.
To get her or the babies or whatever. If she does make it out of this whatever.
Right. And I love the jabs between Rachel and Susan. Rachel telling her that you failed in finding the original. Sarah Manning and her people have outfoxed you again.
Right.
You haven't found a cure for us yet.
Mm-hmm.
And Susan comes right back at her and says, you're the failure because you won't let go of your jealousy for Sarah.
Right. And that's 100% true on both sides. And I'm guessing she was behind that party that MK warned them about in Iceland, right?
Yes.
That she was the one that was close to finding them and MK warned them. So, and I know we're going to see MK in the next episode.
Yes.
So hopefully we'll get more about the search for Kendall and all that. And, who is trying to find her. I mean, we know who, but you know what I mean? Who specifically is searching for her. So, yeah, that's ouchies on both sides. And then the deliberate, get out.
Yeah.
I prefer to eat alone. She's just, the
and
anger.
then we get to, we get the painting scene.
Mm-hmm. With the message.
Mm-hmm. And then you see Charlotte cough.
Right. And thus the blood is thicker than water title for me.
Right.
Not only are they family, which we found out, She also has the defect. Not only is her leg bum leg, she has the defect in her uterus, which is causing her to develop the lung disease as well. So, ouch. Ouch. So that means that clones of Rachel are very imperfect.
Yeah.
And how is Rachel going to deal with that? After 400 tries, they get one that's viable, and it's incredibly imperfect.
Yes.
She is not going to handle that well.
No.
Yeah, she's not going to handle that well at all. And you notice that
surprise me to see Rachel's head blow off.
I know, right?
Sometime during the season.
It's going to be fun, but then I wonder how much backlash is going to come out of that.
Right.
You know, I want to see her head explode, but it depends on who it takes out.
Right. Exactly.
So, I mean, I really want to see her go off, but who it takes out, that's the problem. You know, I'm not a big fan of Charlotte, I have to say.
Right.
She's
got a little mouth on her, too. A little attitude.
A lot of attitude.
Yeah.
But I can see where it comes from, meeting Susan. And that, you know, that's not the most healthy of environments.
And all the unfortunate caregivers.
Right.
So does that mean Susan killed?
Yeah, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think so, too.
I'm guessing that Mrs.
Bowles.
Topside.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name. Dr.
Boyles.
Yeah. I'm guessing she's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she wasn't, she didn't like her methods anymore. So
Right. Yeah. She wasn't Neolution.
Out you go. Yeah. And
then they end the episode with Susan coming back in again. You go, oh, and they start at it again with a few barbs back and forth.
Right. And then revealing to her, what were you trying to do?
Building a better human.
Right. Oh. Dun, dun, dun. Hold on. I have that somewhere. There we go. That. And, I mean, we figured that was what they were trying to do, though, right?
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, big time. So on one side, they were just trying to build a better human, female, on our side, the Lita clones, just better. And then on the other side, the Castor clones, that was a better soldier.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And I think that was just a spinoff, and the military had corrupted the Lita side.
Right.
And taken that off. And maybe Lita wasn't a huge fan of that. Although it seems to me that once Castor took off, now Professor, is she a Professor Duncan?
Yes.
Dr. Duncan, Professor Duncan, whatever she is. So she's a professor. Susan. Susan, now that she knows about Castor, now she has taken some of the fruits of their labor in Ira and used that as well. I mean, I think she considers all of these clones as her baby. And I don't mean baby as in wah baby, but I mean project.
Her creations.
Right, exactly. Now, she knows about Kendall.
Yes.
She knows about Kendall. She just doesn't know where Kendall is. So that's going to come in. Mm-hmm. All right, so we have Be Kind Rewind, and that's the videotape, which we've talked about. A Song of Ants and Fire. Now we have to talk about this. Kira.
God, yes.
What is the deal? We've been talking about this since season 1. Mm-hmm. Are they going to get into this at all? I mean, they've done this every season, shown us.
Teased us with a little bit of something.
Yeah, this was pretty intense, though.
Yes, it was.
That she sees them burning her mother with all the other clones around, all the aunties around. That is scary, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm guessing that's kind of the source of her tantrums?
I think so, because you see her kind of zone out while she's playing the game, and then she goes, this game isn't fun anymore, and knocks the pieces off.
Right.
So I think that was the first hint of her little vision.
Right.
And then with Cosima, we get more of the vision.
Right. And unfortunately, she doesn't have her dad there either.
Right.
Which, hello, where are you? Where's my eye candy this season?
Yes.
Yeah, he needs to show up because she needs someone. Mm-hmm. Cosima's sick, and she's got a lot of negativity around her. I would love to see her with her dad, who manages to cheer her up a lot.
Yes. Yes. Because whenever she's just with Sarah, bad things happen.
Right. Lots of bad things. And she doesn't even have Felix, unfortunately.
Right.
So, yeah, that's bad. So I want to know what the deal is. Can you give us more information
absolutely.
about Kira?
Mm-hmm.
Please.
We need to know.
Right. Let's not pull a Walt from Lost.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay? And just let it go. And again, I mentioned Felix, so hello, Adele. We get Adele is his half-sister. We learn a little bit more about that. So now he knows a little bit about his family ties. And we know a little bit more about it, that he actually knew his mother.
Yeah.
For a short period.
For a short period, but
that's a revelation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad to hear that he bounced around the foster system for a bit until he landed with Siobhan. Although it's a happy outcome because Siobhan gave him a loving home.
Yes.
That's good. But Adele, could you get any different than Felix?
I love the way how Fee tried to prove to Sarah that was his sister by saying, "What's your favorite color? Red. What's your favorite drink? The one I got right now
is pretty good.
And have you ever had sex for profit?
Who hasn't? Yeah. See?
And she's supposed to be a lawyer that's getting
well, except
disbarred.
there's this disbarment thing happening. Yeah. That was great. First of all, I like her. She seems very bubbly and upbeat, and but I think it might lead to some really bad things happening to Felix. Yeah, he doesn't need someone to enable his addictions more.
No.
We know he's had drug issues in the past, and she is really going to add to that, I think.
I think so, too.
And I'm guessing that has a lot to do with her disbarment, that she has an addictive personality, and that leads to other issues as well. So that can lead to corruption. So, yeah. But I think she's cute. I mean, on the show so far, she's kind of been cute from a watching perspective, you know. Oh, hi there. Yeah. Felix said he had a hookup. And I was just for a minute, I'm like, really, Felix? Have you gone that way?
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't
that
you
was
think
the first thought was, oh my God.
Is he sleeping with a woman? Yeah, I thought so for a minute, but it was a pleasant surprise to find out that he had a half sister. That was kind of cool. And I like the scene where they're sitting and talking, drinking their martinis.
Probably.
I'm guessing.
Yes.
Okay. Then we have Duke go away. And I wanted him to go away.
Yes. But we do know now that he is alive. So that wasn't who Beth killed.
Mm-hmm. Right. So now we have no idea who she killed.
Exactly.
Because that was at least a lead. Now I don't know at all. No. I'm going to have to reassess because I was just certain that was who she killed. So Art, and I'm doing air quotes again, runs into Duco, and I'm assuming that was deliberate. Runs into Duco.
Yes, because he had already seen the video of Duco making the visit to Beth's home. Right. And he sees Duco down the hall, and he makes sure he intercepts him.
Right, and has that little chat. And I'm guessing that was just to kind of put the bug in his ear that he knows something, to see where he goes. What do you think? Yeah, but I'm not sure that was the right thing to do, Art. No, I'm not either.
Because if you if he has any kind of hint that you might be trying to follow up Beth's investigation, you better look out. You better watch your back.
Right. Yeah, I think this is the first misstep that Art's made, and like big misstep.
Right.
And I think this may come back to bite him. But I do think he was putting a bug in his ear to see where he goes.
Right.
I'm not sure. I think he thinks he's safe because Duco is in the system and Art is also in the system. And so he feels like that he doesn't think Duco can do anything to him and get away with it.
Right.
But as we know...
Yeah, things and stuff happen.
Right. Things happen. And people get away with them. So
yes.
We will find out what goes on there. That was he really showed his hand there.
Yeah.
I think. And then my last thing was frenemies, and again that's Siobhan is contacting. First she's
Benjamin.
contacting. Well,
yeah, she's trying to call Benjamin and
Right.
say, "Where are you?"
Right. And she's looking for a doctor to take this thing out of Sarah, but for some reason,
Out of the shadows.
yeah, Ferdinand showed
Did
up.
I hear someone say they needed a doctor?
Right. So he knows that she is trying to contact someone.
Mm-hmm.
And how he knows that, I'm not sure.
Right. But yeah, he knows somebody in her group has probably got the maggot bot. Is it Kira? Is it Sarah?
Mm-hmm. And he asked that question.
Yes, he does.
And then he finds out rather quickly
yes,
after
because
that.
of the phone call
Right.
that Art makes.
Right. So...
Sarah hasn't checked in. Oh, she's with Felix. Oh, no, she's not.
Right. Right. So...
And Siobhan, you should know better.
I know, right? And again, another misstep
Yes.
by Siobhan. And the two people that are the most savvy in this episode, and that's Siobhan and Art, who have hardly made missteps. I mean, Siobhan just doesn't make missteps.
Steps.
And Art hasn't because he doesn't stick his nose in a lot.
Too deep.
Right.
I mean, he came real close with the Prolethean.
Right. But when he does stick his nose in, he manages just to stick it in enough to help, and then he butts right back out.
Right.
But in this case, the two people that have never really gotten into trouble here, or at least have gotten out of trouble easily, Siobhan and Art, they have both made missteps, I think.
Yeah, they might have put themselves at risk.
Or others.
Yes.
In this case, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
In both cases, Sarah. I think Sarah is in the most danger from this episode. And I am actually worried, seriously worried about Sarah this season.
Oh, yes. And it didn't help that little creepy Kara has this premonition that Sarah's going to be changing.
Right. And she's always drawn like butterflies and stuff, right?
Yes. She knows when something bad is happening.
Right. And she always has this premonition of chrysalises and butterflies and turning into other things. And you notice in this episode, we also saw the wings on Helena's back.
Yes.
So a brief kind of image of, and I know they're supposed to be like angel's wings, but in this case, we could take it as metamorphosis, butterfly's wings, sort of.
Oh, yes, because she has had a metamorphosis.
Yeah. So some changes, some family issues, family ties. Yeah, lots of things in this episode. So am I missing anything?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we covered everything.
So many things that I try to write down.
Yeah, it was jam-packed.
Right? Usually I just have to do A, B, and C.
Right.
I have to do so much homework for this.
Yeah, we
It's almost
were
as-
up to like J in this episode.
I know. It's almost like the homework I have to do for the Fandom Zone, and that I have to do for 7 shows.
Right.
This is only one. So, but I'm hoping at least that our listeners will let us know if we missed anything.
I'm sure they will.
Okay, good. Any other thing that you wanted to mention about this episode?
No, I just can't wait for next week.
Right? And we'll talk about that in a minute, because I do have a little blurb about next week. But I have feedback, and I need to find this. Okay, and I need to tell you right up front that my soundboards are placed differently for each podcast that I do. Just because sometimes I have different intros and outros and all that. So, Meanwhile is in a different place
Yes.
for this. So there it is. And I have Justina gave us an audio feedback. So
Right.
I shall play it right now. Hi, Justina.
Hi, Karen and Steve. Wow, that was an absolutely wonderful episode of Orphan Black. I give that episode 9 out of 10 board games interrupted. So some of the powers that are being exhibited by the Lita clones seem to be mental in nature. Kira is very, very intuitive. She can sense danger and knows that something bad is going on, even though no one is really telling her the whole story. And I think it could be extreme worry for her mother that's causing some of her behavioral issues. And being separated from her father, which we still haven't seen in this episode.
Right.
Charlotte seems just as intuitive as Kira, seeming to be able to glean little pieces of information about things like Adam's rib, even though she's being raised in isolation. Helena seemed to be able to repeat information about Allison's campaign that I'm not sure how she would know
I think she made
unless
that
there
up.
was some sort of psychic bond between the clones and they could feed each other the information. I don't trust Felix's new sister. There's too many people trying to get at Sarah and the other clones that I feel that she could easily be a plant just to get close to the inner circle of the clones. So I understand why Felix wants to find his family and find a sense of belonging, but my initial reaction to this new character is I don't think I can trust her. And I love Cosima and I want to find a cure, but I don't want them to find a cure by sacrificing Charlotte to do so. Catch you next week, Clone Club.
Catch you next week, Justina.
Yes, thank you so much. And yeah, just before Helena started spouting those names, Allison has gone into the room, hiding behind the wall, and you see her close her eyes like she's concentrating. And then Helena spits it out. So yes, I can see how you think that way,
Right.
Justina.
But I think she was just scared.
Yeah, I think she probably was too.
Being that Carol Lombard was the first name
Yeah.
she spouted out, and she's an actress, I'm assuming they were made up names, or at least names that she pulled from somewhere else. I'm not sure, but I'm just guessing she just blurted out some names that was her training of lying about things. So, I mean, she was a trained killer before this, so she probably has this instinct about, how to lie her way out of things, right?
Right. And it may not have been Lombard. I think it might have been Lombard.
Lombard.
Yeah, Carol Lombard was coordinator. Trevor Swazaki did transportation, and Kathy Malecki hung posters.
Okay. So she may have just thrown out names.
It could be.
Okay.
Could be. Because I'm not sure the transportation that was Donnie and Allison in the bus. I don't remember I thought Allison was driving the bus instead of somebody else. Now, I don't recall Kathy Malecki. I might have to see if those names show up somewhere in a script or something.
Well,
To see
I'm
if
guessing
that's-
we'll find out next week.
Yeah, we should.
Because if she pulled those names out and they were correct,
Yeah.
something will be said about that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And you would think you see all three of them go to the door and watch them drive away, you would think the first thing Allison would have done was, did you know that?
Although she was around for that.
Yes.
She was lurking in the back room of the whatever it was,
right.
that business that they owned when the campaign was going on.
Right.
So she may have absorbed it from them talking about it.
Yes.
So, okay, we'll find out.
Yes.
But
it definitely caught my attention as well, Justina.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you've turned me, Justina. Maybe you have. So if you want to send in feedback like Justina, how can they do that?
All right. Our deadline for feedback is Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. And you can send your feedback in several different ways. You can pop us a message on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Felix Helixes. Or you can typey out an email and send it to felixeshelixes@gmail.com. Or you can tweet us at one of several places. Our podcast Twitter is at Felix's Helixes. Karen is at Aliveria, Aleveria. Or you can tweet at me at SalyerSteve, SalyerSteve.
Yay! That's all our info. And remember, there's no E. There's no E at the end of Felix's Helixes. It's just the XS because apostrophe. Kind of had to do it that way.
Yep.
There were other things. So,
Yes.
okay. And I do have spoilers. So if you don't want to hear the spoilers, go away.
Yeah.
But, you know.
As one of my other co-hosts would say, run.
Does she do that?
Yes.
Run! Although they're not huge spoilers in this case. I want to say, first of all, that I read Entertainment Weekly to get a summarized recap.
Yes.
Just to help with my story titles. I watched the show like 3 times as well, but to help with my story titles, sometimes I read the recap. But also, they have really good interviews.
Absolutely.
This week, they have an interview with the showrunners talking about some of the stuff that's coming up about, what's her name? Casima's
MK.
girlfriend. Who? MK, yes.
Oh, they mentioned MK.
Yes, MK. And whether Delphine is dead.
Right.
And things like that. There's an article right now talking about some stuff that's coming up. And it's a really good one. So I say go to Entertainment Weekly and just type in Orphan Black, and a bunch of articles and stuff will come up, sort it by, date. And the newest ones will be up top. And they really do have some good Orphan Black coverage. I would say TV Land, but right now I'm digging Entertainment Weekly more for Orphan Black stuff.
Yes. And
so,
thank you so much, Dalton, for doing that.
Yes.
This is all Dalton Ross's work.
It's good stuff. So I want to give them a plug. And I'm not getting paid at all for that. Trust me. So I'm saying great spoilers, previews, interviews, things of that nature. They also do recaps there. And they have a really comprehensive recap page for any show.
And they split it up by character.
Yeah, I know. It's great. And one of the things I like about the Orphan Black stuff is they pick out the clone that's in the most trouble, and they talk about her first. And I love that. The trouble index. It's really funny the way they do it. So anyway, that's my plug up front to go there. If you're looking for more coverage for Orphan Black, Entertainment Weekly is really great about that. They were good with Lost as well. They were one of the leading Lost report sites. And I really dug their whole coverage of that. And now I think they're doing the same type, that leading edge coverage of Orphan Black. So
The status hyper sequence generator calcutron.
Excellent. So that's what they're calling it when they calculate who's in the most danger each week. And I think it's going to be Sarah most weeks.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
This season, I think it will be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Maybe Rachel a couple times, maybe Helena, but mostly Sarah. All right. And then I have the blurb for next week's episode, and the title is From Instinct to Rational Control, which is, again, an interesting title. But honestly, I like this week's better with the Stigmata thing in it. It
Yes.
really kind of grasped me. But next week's episode is Sarah realizes her goals have aligned with her once enemy and forms a precarious alliance in hopes of getting to the head of Neolution. Meanwhile, on her end, Allison dispatches Felix and Donnie to infiltrate a Neolution fertility clinic that Beth investigated. Back at the lab, Cosima and Scott receive a revolting delivery from Allison. As Rachel grows closer to Charlotte, Susan Duncan leaves a devastating decision in her hands. So, there's that.
Yeah.
Speculate away, folks.
Oh, my goodness.
Right?
Yeah.
Who's the alliance? Felix is back.
Got to be
It's got to be Ferdinand, right?
Yes.
Because Rachel's talking to Susan later on. We know what the revolting delivery is. It's got to be the whole head, right?
Yes, it's got to be the whole head.
Right? So Felix and Donnie are working together, which means that he's back talking to the clones, which is awesome.
Right. And I think we'll see Crystal.
Yeah.
Because I think Felix will get Crystal involved.
Sounds like maybe at some point she'll come in.
And seeing Felix and Donnie work together ought to be gold.
Yeah, it really should be. Really should be. And I like this where it says, forms a precarious alliance in hopes of getting to the head of Neolution. Because we know that's going to play, the head of Neolution is going to be part of another storyline. So I have to say this. Very nice, guys. Very nice. So, and we know MK is going to be in next week's episode as well. So I don't know where that fits in.
Right.
She is going to be in next week's episode. So interesting.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's part of the Felix and Donnie storyline because she knows what Beth investigated.
Yes. Has to be.
So, wow. Another great episode, it looks like. I cannot wait.
I know.
I'm on the edge of my seat every episode. This season is killing it.
Yes.
Killing it. So, yeah. I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as we are, right?
Yes, absolutely. And we definitely want to thank all of you that were following us over at the other Orphan Black podcast and have come over to Felix's Helixes. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, big time. And tell your friends that we're over here now and anyone who would enjoy listening because we're over here now. We're over here now.
Yes. We're still doing it. We're just in a different location, different
right.
channel.
We are digging talking about this. The show is better than ever, and we love talking to you guys about this. So, yeah, so good. And I love talking to you about this every week, Steve. I look forward to it.
10 episodes just is never enough.
No, it's not, right? I want a full season. I want 22.
Yes.
Because we need the whole arc. But, hey, whatever. At least we're only at 3 right now.
Yes. Thank God.
We're still at the beginning. Okay. So until next week, I guess hang in there, Clone Club.
See you next week, Clone Club.